Let us first understand the need for public administration. Human beings had been managing and administering their affairs in their wisdom. Such a situation continued until they started realizing that adequate means are not in place to protect their lives and properties. A well-defined structure and its mechanism was needed, which can underline necessities on the part of the individuals. Now, this situation paved the way for the creation of the state. Slowly and gradually, all such activities which explicitly or implicitly had bearing on the lives of the individuals came to the fold of the state, having important characteristics like population, territory, government, and sovereignty. Thus, it could be inferred that if the administration is as old as humanity, then the public administration is as old as the government. Public administration dates back to the origin of the state. Now, considering historical pieces of the evidences brought forth that to cope with the quantum of the task and to conduct the prefixed goals and aims, there has been a steady evolution and growth of public administration, which means to come clearly in terms of the development of the domain and scope of public administration over some time. The Romanian administration, the Egyptian administration, Chinese administration, Greek administration, and the Indian administration marked their presence during the medieval period. The practice of administration, especially in the European states during the medieval period, and the state of administration in the post-Wilsonian period, brought to light that a newer and newer focus had been getting attached to the profession of administration. Administration Administration during the foundation era, uh, reform and managerial era had seen substantive growth in the profession of public administration. Various scholars have given different paradigms of public administration, which assert that public administration is a dynamic discipline and has been strengthened by several other disciplines. Thus, public administration has a two-way relationship with political science, sociology, history, psychology, philosophy, jurisprudence, economics, geography, biology, and defense studies. Nicholas Henry, in his work Public Administration and Public Affairs in 1986, referred to five paradigms of public administration, which we will cover in details during the course of time. The These paradigms were political administration dichotomy, principles of public administrations, public administration as political science, public administration as management, and public administration as public administration. There, there are ample literature to believe that the detailed and logical study of public administration started with Woodrow Wilson. He narrated an essay in the name of the study of administration. Taking it, taking it as a base, one could refer to the different paradigms of public administration in chronological order, like political administration dichotomy, scientific management era, the principles of public administration, human relation, behavioralism, comparative and development administration, policy sciences, new public administration, and new public management. So, a glance over the development in public administration, right since its origin, portrays that based on the prevailing circumstances, there have been additions incorporated into the domain of the study and the profession of the public administration. So it becomes difficult to conclude that public administration as one field today is only because of the contemporary conditions and additions, because the expansion of public administration has been essential. Now it makes for a case that public administration, which is a confluence of the socio-economic and politico-administrative interface, is shaped based on prevailing context and circumstances. Going along with the fact that there cannot be any practice without theory, it again becomes difficult to infer that there has not been a given set of theories of public administration during medieval and ancient periods. Therefore, it becomes a necessity to have a proper understanding, comprehension, and grasp of different theories to properly know about the dimensions of the discipline of public administration, which in turn helps to properly understand the professional dynamics of public administration. So, guys, let's begin. Uh, as an introduction, which we have already discussed a lot of things about how and why the public administration was evolved. Now we will consider for the preparation of UPSC and UPPSCs and various other state services examination, public administration as an optional subject uh, can be covered into several modules. The first module will be the introduction. Under the introduction, uh, there are major topics to be covered. It will cover meaning, scope, and significance of public administration, Wilson's vision of public administration. It will cover evolution of the discipline and its present status, new public administration, public choice approach. Apart from this, challenges of liberalization, privatization, and globalizations will be covered. Good governance aspect will be covered, which was recently very prominent in the news. Concepts and applications of the good governance will be discussed in details, and new public management will also be discussed here. Let us begin with the very basic and fundamental question of what is public administration. We'll build on the definition and the concepts of the public administration as soon as we'll keep on understanding the relevant topics, relevant factors behind the public administration's meaning and definition. So a crisp understanding of public administration is very easy. Using public transports like a train or bus, which are run by the government agencies, admitting patients to the government run hospitals, or police serving the people to maintain law and order. Similarly, there are innumerable activities that are managed by the government. A very prominent concept of the welfare state is normally used while discussing the aspects of public administration or political science, etc. Now, the welfare state corresponds to more government functions, like where the government involvement in the citizen's life is more. In developing countries, the government is involved in many sectors of the citizens' lives. It plays an important role in managing social, economic, cultural, regulatory, and many other socio-economic domains. But why do we need a government intervention? To understand this, we need to understand the condition of India. India, where the low per capita income is very much visible, the poverty line is encompassing a large population of the country. There are a lot of basic amenities and basic facilities like education, health, um, social welfare, right, nutrition. These all things are seriously a problematic figure which needs to be addressed. So the government management is necessary because this low per capita income or low strata in an economically stable and balanced society is important to grow. Government prepares plans to make the country and its citizens come out of low per capita income and then contribute to the nation building. On the other hand, developed nations do not need much government support to manage development activities and therefore they observe less governmental governance. There are fundamental differences between the functioning of the government in developing and developed nations, which we will discuss in detail when we will separately study about the public and private administration. Now let's back to the concept of public administration. We are trying to build the concept first before we start the advanced aspects of the public administration. So public administration is a system of organization and its effective performance management. It is an instrument that is used for the realization of the government's objectives. From an overall perspective, uh, or you can say from an overall development perspective, societies must have an active public administrative system, just like political, economic, or judicial systems in place to prepare a better society, a better governance, a better organization, and a better nation. Public administration has been coexisting with all political systems as an active part of the government. It was meant to fulfill the objectives set by political decision makers. Many scholars had recorded and discussed public administration in details, which we'll discuss further as well. A few prominent works to be named are Arthashastra by Kautilya. It is the most prominent and most discussed work. We will discuss it in depth when we will learn about the classical administrative thinkers in the next modules of the syllabus. Mahabharat by Ved Vyas, which prompts about the diplomacy and fundamental governance concepts. Ramayana by Valmiki. Politics by Aristotle. It is a prominent work in the Europe and the Western countries. A lot of things can be learned and a lot of things can be differentiated from his work. The Prince by Machiavelli. It is also a prominent work in the West and Europe. So, as a field of systematic study, public administration does not have a long history. In the 18th century, German scholars were interested in the field of study. During that time, two great systems of public administration had developed in the West. Number one was Anglo-American system, and number two was French system. We'll discuss in detail now. So the Anglo-American system was based on the preference for uh, self-government in local communities. It was based on the citizen participation. It was based on the decentralization of the authority. Uh, it has it had a well-established responsibility of the administrative system to the legislative body, and the responsibility of the officials was to the ordinary civil courts. This was a very good system of arrangement. On the other hand, the French system, which was formulated by Napoleon and was based on the concentration of executive power, as against the Anglo-American system, which supported local self-governance, dominance of national authorities over local authorities. It was also opposed to the decentralization concept available in the previous system. It supported the professionalization of public services. It provisioned for the psychological separation of public services from citizens. It provisioned for the separate administrative courts for the officials rather than regular civil courts. To understand the concept of public administration, let us first focus to understand the concept of administration, because public administration has emerged out of administration. So administration as an activity is as old as society itself, which we already discussed uh, when we were discussing the introduction part of it. But as an area of study, it originated with the publication of Wilson's essay on the study of administration in 1887. As a process, administration occurs in both public and private organizations. It occurs in such diverse institutional settings like business firms, labor unions, religious and charitable organizations, educational institutions, etc. Its nature is affected by the sphere with which it is concerned. The administration is commonly divided into two types. One is public administration and another is private administration. So, as an aspect of government activity, it has existed since the emergence of the political system. While public administration relates to the activities carried out by the government, the private administration refers to the management of private business enterprises. So, the word administration. The word administration has been derived from the Latin word administrare, which means to care for or to look after people or to manage affairs. Administration may be group activity involving cooperation and coordination to achieve desired goals or aim. Broadly speaking, the term administration appears to bear at least four different meanings or different senses depending upon the context in which it is used. Number one, as a discipline. The name of a branch of learning or intellectual discipline as taught and studied in colleges and universities. Number two is as a vocation, type of work, trade, or profession or occupation, especially one that involves knowledge and training in a branch of advanced learning. As a process, the total of activities undertaken to implement policies to produce some services or goods. And number four is as a synonym for the word executive or government. Such other body of persons in supreme charge of affairs. For example, Manmohan Singh administration, Modi administration, Bush administration, etc. Now let us consider on some of the definitions given by some famous writers and scholars. Please note that these definitions are for administration and not for public administration. One scholar, Mr. Ian Gladden. Ian Gladden said that the administration is a long and slightly pompous word, but it has a humble meaning. For it means to care for or look after people or to manage affairs. It is determined action taken in pursuits of a conscious purpose. Brooke Adams said that the administration is the capacity of coordinating many and often conflicting social energies in a single organism so adroitly that they shall operate as a unity. So now here he is talking about managing and coordinating with different social energies. That means there could be difference of opinion, there could be difference in working lifestyles, but but let them operate in a unity is a power of administration. Felix Enegro. Felix Enegro said that the administration is the organization and use of men and materials to accomplish a purpose. This is a narrow definition because it is focusing basically only on the men and material part of administration. J.M. Fifner. J.M. Fifner said that administration is the organization and direction of human and material resources to achieve desired ends. This is similar definition like the previous scholar. L.D. White said that the art of administration is the direction, coordination, and control of many persons to achieve some purpose or objective. In my opinion, L.D. White is the most prominent figure in the field of public administration. He who has distinguishedly worked in different phases of development of public administration. We will discuss his work in details during the course of this module only. Luther Gulick, he said that the administration has to do with getting things done with the accomplishment of the defined objectives. F.M. Marx, he said that the administration is determined action taken in pursuits of a conscious purpose. It is the systematic ordering of affairs and the calculated use of resources aimed at making those things happen that one wants to happen and foretelling everything to the country. Herbert Simon, in its broadest sense, he said that the administration can be defined as the activities of groups cooperating to accomplish common goals. So, a brief analysis of the definitions listed above reveals that the administration includes two essential elements, namely, number one, cooperative efforts, and number two, common goals. So, the administration is also called as technology of social relationships. Thus, the administration means a cooperative effort of a group of people in pursuits of a common objective.